If only human pain could be measured with precise numbers, not vague words. If only there were some way to assess how much we've suffered, to confirm that pain has mass and measure. Sooner or later, every man must confront the insubstantiality of his own passage through this world. Some human beings can stomach that. Not me. Not ever. I used to look at the city of Madrid, and the unreality of its streets and houses and humans felt like nails through my flesh. I've been a man of sorrows. I've failed to understand life. Conversations with other humans seemed dull, slow, destructive. It pained me to talk to others. I could see the pointlessness of every human conversation that has been and will be. Even as they were happening, I knew they'd be forgotten. The fall before the fall. The futility of conversations, the futility of the speaker, the futility of the spoken to. Futilities we've agreed to so the world can exist. At that point, I'd start thinking about my father again. The conversations I used to have with him seemed like the only thing that was worth a damn. I'd go back to those conversations, hoping for respite from the universal deterioration of things. It felt like my brain was fossilized. I couldn't perform simple mental operations. I would add up cars' license plate numbers, and the activity plunged me into a deep sadness. I stumbled over my words. It took me a long time to get a sentence out. When I went silent, the person I was talking to would look at me with pity or scorn and end up finishing it for me. I used to stammer, repeating the same thing over and over. Maybe there was beauty in my stuttering emotions. I called my father to account. I was constantly thinking about my father's life, seeking an explanation for my own life in his. I became racked by fear and delusions. When I looked in the mirror, I saw not my own self growing old, but someone else who'd already been here in this world. I saw my father growing old. It made it easy to remember him in meticulous detail. All I had to do was look in the mirror, and he'd appear, like in some unfamiliar liturgy, a shamanic ceremony, an inverted theological order. There was no joy or happiness in this reunion with my father in the mirror, only another turn of the screw of grief, a further descent, the hypothermic pall of two corpses in conversation. I see what was not intended to be visible. I see death in the breadth and basis of matter. I see the universal weightlessness of all things. I was reading Saint Teresa of Avila, and she had similar sorts of thoughts. She called them one thing, and I call them something else. I started writing. Only writing offered an outlet for all those dark messages flooding in from human bodies, from the streets, the cities, the politics, the media, from what we are. The great ghost of what we are, a construction bearing little resemblance to nature. And the great ghost is effective. Humanity is convinced it actually exists. That's where my problems start. In 2015, there was a sadness that stalked the planet, invading human societies like a virus. I got a brain scan. I went to see a neurologist. He was a bald, burly man with neatly trimmed fingernails and a necktie under his white coat. He ran some tests. He said there wasn't anything funny in my head, that everything was fine, and I started writing this book. It seemed to me the state of my soul was a blurry memory of something that had occurred in a place in northern Spain called Ordesa, a place full of mountains, and that memory was yellow, the color yellow spreading through the name Ordesa, and behind Ordesa was the figure of my father in the summer of 1969. A state of mind that is a place, Ordesa, and also a color, yellow. Everything turned yellow. When things and people turn yellow, it means they've become insubstantial or bitter. Pain is yellow, is what I'm saying. I'm writing these words on May 9th, 2015. 70 years ago, Germany had just signed its unconditional surrender. Within a couple of days, photos of Hitler would be swapped out for photos of Stalin.